Have you ever reheated a plate of leftovers without thinking twice, only to feel a little off afterward? What if I told you that some of the most common foods in your kitchen could become risky the second time around, especially as we age? In today's video, we're diving into the truth about reheating food, the 4 foods you should never reheat and the 4 you absolutely should. It's not just about taste. It's about protecting your health, keeping your digestion happy, and making sure every meal supports your well-being. I've learned a lot of these lessons the hard way, and I'm here to pass them on to you, so you can enjoy your golden years with confidence and peace of mind. Whether you live alone, with family, or in a senior community, this video is packed with practical advice you can use today. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's talk about the little choices that make a big difference. Why reheating matters more for seniors. Did you know that the simple act of reheating your food could put your health at risk? And even worse, for us seniors, our bodies may not be as forgiving when it comes to food safety mistakes. When I first learned this, I couldn't believe it. I had been doing things the same way for years, reheating leftovers without a second thought. But then something happened that changed my perspective forever. It was a chilly Sunday afternoon. My wife and I had just finished a hearty roast dinner the night before. There were leftovers, of course, and the next day I reheated some of that chicken and rice for lunch. It smelled fine, looked fine. I microwaved it just like I always did, but within hours I didn't feel quite right. My stomach churned and a strange fatigue settled in. It wasn't food poisoning in the dramatic sense, but it was enough to make me stop and think. That week I spoke with my doctor during a routine checkup. I mentioned the leftover meal. He looked me straight in the eye and said, "You need to be more careful with what you reheat and how you do it. At your age, even a mild case of foodborne illness can turn into something serious." I've always prided myself on being independent. I like to think I've got a good head on my shoulders, but this was something I hadn't taken seriously before. I started reading, learning, asking questions. What I discovered was eye-opening. And I'm here today to share that wisdom with you so that you don't have to learn the hard way like I did. As we age, our immune systems naturally become less robust. It's just part of the journey. That means we're more vulnerable to things like bacteria and toxins that might not affect younger people as severely. Even common leftovers, if not handled properly, can carry risks. Think about this, our stomach acid isn't as strong as it used to be. That acid used to kill off small amounts of harmful bacteria. Now, it's not always up to the task. Plus, medications, many of us are on at least a few, can further affect digestion and immunity. That's why food safety becomes so much more important as we grow older. It's not about being scared, it's about being smart. I know what some of you might be thinking. I've been reheating food my whole life without any problems. Well, so had I until I did. And the older we get, the less room we have for error. Our bodies don't bounce back the way they used to. Let me tell you something else I learned. Certain bacteria, like Bacillus cereus, can survive cooking and then multiply rapidly in certain foods left at room temperature. Reheating doesn't always destroy those toxins. And the problem is, you can't see, smell, or taste them. Imagine eating something you've enjoyed all your life, like rice or chicken, and it turns on you. Not because it was spoiled when you stored it, but because of the way it was reheated. This knowledge gave me a whole new respect for my leftovers. I started changing small habits in the kitchen. I got better containers. I labeled everything with dates. I stopped guessing and started checking temperatures. I even bought a little food thermometer. It wasn't expensive, but it gave me peace of mind. And I started sharing what I was learning with my friends, my children, even my grandkids. Food isn't just about filling our bellies. It's about health, and for those of us in our golden years, it's about protecting the life we've worked so hard to build. You see, we seniors have wisdom. We've lived through a lot, but even with all our experience, there's always something new to learn. That's what keeps life interesting, isn't it? Being open to new knowledge, being willing to adapt. And that's why I started watching channels like Glowing Age, practical tips, real talk, advice that respects where we are in life. It reminded me that age is not a reason to stop learning, it's a reason to start learning smarter. Now, before we go further, let me ask you for a small favor. If you're finding this helpful so far, if it's making you think twice about how you treat your leftovers, please take a moment to like this video. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It helps us grow this community and bring you more tips that matter for your life. All right, back to it. Another reason this topic matters so much is that many of us are living alone now, or we're cooking smaller portions. Leftovers become a natural part of our routine, and that's fine, so long as we're handling them safely. My neighbor Edna, bless her heart, is 78 and still makes the best meatloaf you'll ever taste. But she used to reheat her food by just popping it in the microwave for 30 seconds. No stirring, no checking the temperature, just a guess and go. One day she got very sick, spent 2 days in bed. Turns out she'd reheated some eggs from breakfast, eggs that had been sitting out too long. No one warned her that even something as simple as eggs could cause a problem. After that, she and I had a long chat over tea. She started writing down safe reheating tips and sticking them to her fridge. Now, every time I visit, I see those little notes. They're a reminder that small changes can make a big difference. That's what I hope to offer you today. Not fear, just awareness. Just a gentle nudge to pay attention to what we do in the kitchen. Because good health in our later years isn't just about exercise or medications. It's also about the little choices, like how we reheat our meals. I've come to believe that wisdom isn't just what we know, it's what we apply. We've got the experience. Now let's pair it with knowledge that keeps us thriving. And the truth is, we deserve to thrive. We've spent decades caring for others, working hard, overcoming challenges. These years, our golden years, should be full of joy, energy, and confidence. So take it from someone who learned the hard way. The way you reheat your food matters. And it matters even more now than it did when we were young. Stick with me and I'll guide you through what foods to avoid reheating and which ones actually get better the next day. But more than that, I'll help you do it safely with confidence. Because when you know better, you eat better and feel better too. Let's keep learning together. 4 foods seniors should never reheat. Let's dive into the foods you should never reheat. Not just because they taste worse the next day, but because for seniors, these foods can actually become dangerous. And I'm not just talking theory here. These are lessons learned from real stories, from friends and family, and yes, even from my own kitchen mishaps. The first one may surprise you: spinach. Yes, that leafy green we're always told to eat more of. Don't get me wrong, spinach is fantastic for you. High in iron, folate, fiber, it's a powerhouse. But when you cook it and then reheat it, that's where the trouble starts. You see, spinach contains nitrates, and when you heat it up a second time, those nitrates can turn into nitrites, and in some cases, nitrosamines, compounds that have been linked to cancer. For someone with a sensitive system or weakened immunity, even a small amount of these substances over time might cause harm. It's best to enjoy spinach fresh or cold if you have leftovers. Mix it into a salad or stir it into a cold pasta dish, but avoid popping it back in the microwave. The second food is one I used to eat almost every other day: rice. Seems harmless, right? But cooked rice, when left at room temperature for too long, can develop bacterial spores, especially a nasty one called Bacillus cereus. It's sneaky, doesn't change the look or smell of the rice, but it can cause stomach cramps, nausea, or worse. Reheating doesn't always destroy these toxins. If you're going to save rice, make sure you refrigerate it within an hour of cooking and store it properly. But even then, I've made it a rule for myself. I only reheat rice once, and always until it's piping hot all the way through. Otherwise, I toss it. Third on the list, chicken. Now, I love a good roast chicken. It's comforting, familiar, but chicken is tricky. It's high in protein, and reheating it can alter its structure in a way that makes it tough to digest. I remember once reheating leftover chicken breast from dinner and having terrible stomach discomfort afterward. At the time, I thought it was just my body being sensitive, but I later learned that reheated proteins like chicken can be harder for older stomachs to process. On top of that, if it's not reheated evenly, especially in a microwave, parts of it can remain in the temperature danger zone, allowing bacteria to thrive. These days, I either eat leftover chicken cold in a sandwich or salad, or reheat it gently on the stovetop, making sure it's evenly warmed. And the fourth one, which caught me off guard: eggs. Scrambled, boiled, baked into a casserole. Once cooked, eggs don't do well the second time around. Reheating can make them rubbery and not very pleasant to eat, but more importantly, if they've been sitting out too long, they can become a breeding ground for bacteria like salmonella. My daughter once packed me a little breakfast container with scrambled eggs and toast. I didn't eat it until later, and I reheated it quickly. That night, my stomach felt like I'd swallowed a rock. Since then, I've made it a point: eggs are best fresh. If I need to save some, I eat them cold or don't save them at all. Now, I know this might seem like a lot. Maybe you're thinking, what's left to enjoy then? But trust me, there's still plenty you can safely reheat, and even foods that taste better the next day. We'll get to those soon. What's important here is being mindful. We're not kids anymore, able to bounce back from a dodgy snack or mystery leftovers. Our bodies have served us for decades. Let's return the favor by treating them with a little extra care. There's no shame in tossing something that's questionable. Your health is worth more than a saved meal. And here's a little trick I use now. Before I put anything in the fridge, I ask myself, will I want to eat this tomorrow? Will I reheat it? Or is it better to portion it differently now? These little questions help me waste less and stay healthier. And look, I know many of us come from a generation that doesn't like to waste food. We grew up making the most of what we had. But here's the thing. Our health now is the most valuable thing we've got. If we're careful about what we reheat and how we do it, we can keep enjoying our meals without risking our well-being. Stick with me because coming up, I'll show you 4 foods that you should reheat and why they're actually better the second time around. It's not all bad news. With the right habits, we can keep our kitchens safe and our meals satisfying. Let's keep going. Tips for safe food storage. Now that we've talked about what not to reheat, let's switch gears and focus on the good stuff. There are actually foods that not only reheat well but seem to get better with time. The flavors deepen, the texture holds up, and best of all, they're safe for us to enjoy again and again as long as we reheat them properly. I remember a time when I made a big pot of stew. It was one of those chilly evenings where the house smelled like garlic, thyme, and simmering beef. My wife and I had a couple of bowls, stored the rest in the fridge, and called it a night. The next day, I reheated a portion, and I swear it was even better than before. That's not just nostalgia talking. There's real science behind it. Soups and stews are my first pick. Whether it's vegetable, chicken, noodle, or beef and barley, these dishes develop deeper flavors after sitting overnight. The spices have time to meld, and the ingredients soak in more taste. Just be sure to reheat them thoroughly until they're steaming hot all the way through. 165 degrees Fahrenheit is the magic number. I reheat mine on the stovetop, slowly, stirring often. It warms evenly and tastes homemade all over again. Second up, cooked whole grains like brown rice, barley, and quinoa. Unlike white rice, which can be risky if not stored carefully, these hearty grains hold their texture and flavor well. They don't clump up as much and are less likely to harbor harmful bacteria if handled properly. I like to add a splash of water before reheating them in the microwave or pan to keep them from drying out. And they're great as a side dish, tossed into a soup, or mixed with beans for a quick, healthy lunch. Next, roasted vegetables. Now this one surprised me. For years, I thought leftover veggies turned soggy and bland. But I learned a trick: don't microwave them. Use a skillet or toaster oven instead. Carrots, sweet potatoes, Brussels sprouts, they all crisp back up with a little oil and a bit of heat. Sometimes I even add a few fresh herbs or a drizzle of balsamic vinegar to bring them back to life. Roasted vegetables are nutrient-rich, and when reheated right, feel like comfort food without the guilt. And finally, let's talk about baked potatoes. Not the ones wrapped in foil for hours. That's a no-go because foil can trap bacteria if the potato cools too slowly. But a properly stored, unwrapped baked potato can reheat beautifully. I slice mine in half, sprinkle a little cheese, and warm it in the oven or toaster oven. It's crispy on the outside, fluffy on the inside, just like when it first came out of the oven. It's filling, high in fiber, and easy on the stomach. The key to reheating these foods is not just the method, but also your care. Don't rush. Stir. Check the temperature. Use proper containers. Think of it like giving that meal a second chance to shine and doing it right. You know, my daughter once told me that food is like people. It can be a little worn out the second time around, but with the right touch, it still has a lot to offer. That made me smile. It's true, especially in our golden years. Just because something's a day old doesn't mean it's done. With a little care, it can still be nourishing, satisfying, and full of flavor. There's something wonderful about a hot bowl of stew on day 2, or roasted sweet potatoes that still make your mouth water. These small joys matter. They bring comfort. They remind us that aging doesn't mean giving up on the things we love. It just means being a bit wiser about how we enjoy them. So next time you open the fridge and see those leftovers, don't groan. Think of them as old friends who have got a little more to give. Warm them up the right way, and you'll find meals that are not just safe, but downright delicious. Coming up next, I'll share the best methods for reheating food safely, especially for seniors. From the stovetop to the microwave, there are tips that can help you get it right every time. Stick with me. 4 foods you should reheat and why. Now that we've talked about what not to reheat, let's switch gears and focus on the good stuff. There are actually foods that not only reheat well but seem to get better with time. The flavors deepen, the texture holds up, and best of all, They're safe for us to enjoy again and again, as long as we reheat them properly. I remember a time when I made a big pot of stew. It was one of those chilly evenings where the house smelled like garlic, thyme, and simmering beef. My wife and I had a couple of bowls, stored the rest in the fridge, and called it a night. The next day, I reheated a portion, and I swear it was even better than before. That's not just nostalgia talking. There's real science behind it. Soups and stews are my first pick. Whether it's vegetable, chicken noodle, or beef and barley, these dishes develop deeper flavors after sitting overnight. The spices have time to meld, and the ingredients soak in more taste. Just be sure to reheat them thoroughly until they're steaming hot all the way through. 165 degrees Fahrenheit is the magic number. I reheat mine on the stovetop, slowly, stirring often. It warms evenly and tastes homemade all over again. Second up, cooked whole grains like brown rice, barley, and quinoa. Unlike white rice, which can be risky if not stored carefully, these hearty grains hold their texture and flavor well. They don't clump up as much and are less likely to harbor harmful bacteria if handled properly. I like to add a splash of water before reheating them in the microwave or pan to keep them from drying out. And they're great as a side dish, tossed into a soup, or mixed with beans for a quick, healthy lunch. Next, roasted vegetables. Now this one surprised me. For years I thought leftover veggies turned soggy and bland. But I learned a trick: don't microwave them. Use a skillet or toaster oven instead. Carrots, sweet potatoes, Brussels sprouts, they all crisp back up with a little oil and a bit of heat. Sometimes I even add a few fresh herbs or a drizzle of balsamic vinegar to bring them back to life. Roasted vegetables are nutrient-rich, and when reheated right, feel like comfort food without the guilt. And finally, let's talk about baked potatoes. Not the ones wrapped in foil for hours. That's a no-go because foil can trap bacteria if the potato cools too slowly. But a properly stored, unwrapped baked potato can reheat beautifully. I slice mine in half, sprinkle a little cheese, and warm it in the oven or toaster oven. It's crispy on the outside, fluffy on the inside, just like when it first came out of the oven. It's filling, high in fiber, and easy on the stomach. The key to reheating these foods is not just the method, but also your care. Don't rush. Stir. Check the temperature. Use proper containers. Think of it like giving that meal a second chance to shine and doing it right. You know, my daughter once told me that food is like people. It can be a little worn out the second time around, but with the right touch, it still has a lot to offer. That made me smile. It's true, especially in our golden years. Just because something's a day old doesn't mean it's done. With a little care, it can still be nourishing, satisfying, and full of flavor. There's something wonderful about a hot bowl of stew on day 2, or roasted sweet potatoes that still make your mouth water. These small joys matter. They bring comfort. They remind us that aging doesn't mean giving up on the things we love. It just means being a bit wiser about how we enjoy them. So next time you open the fridge and see those leftovers, don't groan. Think of them as old friends who have got a little more to give. Warm them up the right way, and you'll find meals that are not just safe, but downright delicious. Coming up next, I'll share the best methods for reheating food safely, especially for seniors. From the stovetop to the microwave, there are tips that can help you get it right every time. Stick with me. Best reheating methods for seniors. Let's talk now about how to reheat food properly. Because even if you're reheating something safe like soup or roasted vegetables, the method you choose can make a big difference, not just in how it tastes, but in how safe it is for your body. I learned this lesson the hard way one winter. I had made a nice bowl of leftover chili and popped it in the microwave. I was in a hurry, so I zapped it for a minute and dove right in. The first few bites were warm, but the middle, cold as a cave. I didn't think much of it until the stomach cramps hit later that night. Since then, I've taken reheating seriously. For us seniors, that extra care matters more than ever. Our immune systems may not be what they used to be, and we're more likely to experience serious consequences from something like underheated chicken or leftover rice. So here are some of the best reheating methods I've found, based on experience and what food safety experts recommend. First up, the stovetop. This is one of the most reliable ways to reheat food evenly. For soups, stews, casseroles, and even cooked grains, a saucepan over medium heat does the trick. Stir often to make sure everything gets warm all the way through. You'll notice the food heats more consistently than in a microwave, and it often tastes better too. Then there's the oven. This is great for foods that benefit from dry heat, like baked potatoes, casseroles, and roasted veggies. I usually set the oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and heat the food until it's hot in the center. usually about 15–20 minutes, depending on the size. You can cover dishes with foil to keep them from drying out. Just make sure to remove it at the end if you want a little crispiness. Toaster ovens are another great option. They heat faster than a full oven and are perfect for small portions. I use mine all the time for leftover pizza, breaded chicken, or anything I want to stay crispy. Now let's talk about the big one, microwaves. They're quick and convenient, but they require a little more attention. Always use microwave-safe containers. I prefer glass over plastic. Avoid reheating food in plastic takeout containers, especially older ones. They can release harmful chemicals when heated. When you microwave something, make sure to cover it loosely with a microwave-safe lid or a damp paper towel. This traps steam and helps the food heat more evenly. Also, stir halfway through reheating, especially for soups, stews, or anything with sauce. And don't just rely on time, check the temperature. The food should reach at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit all the way through. That's the number that kills most harmful bacteria. One of the most important rules I've learned: don't reheat food more than once. Every time food cools and gets reheated, bacteria can multiply. It's better to take out only what you plan to eat and leave the rest cold until you're ready for another serving. Now let's talk about what not to do. Never use aluminum foil in the microwave. It can cause sparks and damage the appliance. Also, don't trust those old myths like if it's steaming, it's safe. Some parts of the food may be steaming while the center is still cold. That's why stirring and checking with a food thermometer is such a smart habit. Some folks I know use slow cookers to reheat food, but I'd be cautious with that. Most slow cookers don't heat food fast enough to get it out of the temperature danger zone, between 40 and 140 degrees Fahrenheit. If you're reheating something, it's best to use the stovetop or oven first, then transfer to a slow cooker if you want to keep it warm for serving. And finally, listen to your instincts. If something smells off, has a strange color, or feels slimy, don't take a risk. We've earned our years, and it's not worth jeopardizing our health for a questionable bite. I like to think of these reheating methods as part of a routine that protects and respects the body I've lived in all these years. It's not just about avoiding illness. It's about showing up for your life every day feeling your best. Taking an extra 5 minutes to reheat something properly might not seem like much, but over time, it can save you from a world of discomfort. And the bonus: your food tastes better, feels fresher, and gives you that comforting satisfaction we all want from a good meal. Next, we'll wrap this all up with a quick summary and some words of encouragement to keep you going strong. Don't go anywhere. You'll want to hear this. Quick summary and encouragement. Let's bring it all together now. If you've made it this far, I want to say something from the heart. Thank you. Thank you for caring enough about your health to stick with me through this. And believe me, everything we've talked about here is worth every minute of your time. Now, let's quickly revisit what we've learned. There are some foods you just shouldn't reheat: spinach, rice, chicken, and eggs. Not because they're bad foods, but because they can become risky if not handled right. They may look fine, smell fine, even taste fine, but the danger is often invisible. And as we get older, our bodies can't fight off these hidden threats the way they used to. So we have to be smarter, more mindful. We also covered how to store food the right way. That means cooling and refrigerating it quickly, using airtight containers, labeling your leftovers, and knowing when to let go of something that's past its prime. These are simple habits, but they make a big impact. Then came the good news. There are foods you can and should reheat. Soups, stews, roasted veggies, grains, baked potatoes. These dishes not only hold up well, but often taste even better the next day. They're nourishing, they're comforting, and when reheated safely, they're perfectly suited for our golden years. And finally, we talked about the best ways to reheat your food. The stovetop, the oven, even the humble microwave, when used with care, can all serve you well. It's not about being fancy. It's about being thoughtful. Stir your food. Use the right containers. Reheat once and always to that magic number, 165 degrees. Now let me say this. Being older doesn't mean you have to be more fearful. It means you get to be wiser. You've earned your wisdom, your experience, your independence. These aren't rules to scare you, they're here to empower you. Because when you know what to watch for, you're in control. One of the greatest joys of aging is being able to take care of yourself in ways that truly matter. And what we eat, how we store it, and how we prepare it, those are acts of self-respect, of self-care. And believe me, there's nothing more powerful than a person who respects their own well-being. You might feel now and then that the world moves too fast or that there's too much to keep up with. But here's what I know. The little things matter. A clean fridge, a fresh meal, a wise choice, they add up. And they give you strength to keep enjoying life, to keep connecting with others, and to wake up feeling a little better each day. My hope for you is simple, that you'll take what you've learned today and make a few changes if needed. Share them with a friend, a neighbor, a family member, because these are the kinds of tips that can truly make a difference, not just for one person, but for a whole community. So as we wrap up, I invite you to take a moment for yourself. Take a deep breath. Feel proud that you're someone who's still learning, still growing, still choosing to care. If this video helped you, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to Glowing Age. It helps us reach more folks just like you, people who deserve to live their golden years with health, dignity, and joy. We've got more stories, more tips, and more encouragement coming your way. But for now, I'll leave you with this. Every meal is a chance to nourish not just your body, but your life. So treat it with the care it deserves, and treat yourself with the same. Until next time, stay safe, stay wise, and keep glowing. And there you have it, 4 foods to be cautious with, and 4 that can safely and deliciously be brought back to life with a little reheating know-how. These tips might seem small, but they can make a big difference in how you feel each day. Remember, aging well isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing the small things wisely. I hope today's video helped you feel more in control of your kitchen and more confident about your meals. If you found this helpful, give the video a like and hit that subscribe button. It helps us keep growing the Glowing Age community, where your health, happiness, and wisdom are always welcome. Until next time, be well, stay safe, and keep glowing.